Hi guys, welcome to another episode of The Aspiring Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Hamza Chowdhury, and today I'd like to talk to you about the Apple stock. It is Tuesday, October 6th. I had quite a wild ride today, but before I do so, I'd like to ask a favor of you. If you could just share this video with your friends and family and hit the like and subscribe button, it really helps the channel and does sort of broadcast us to a bigger audience. I'm trying my best to grow the channel, and I can only do so with people like yourself helping us grow this channel by watching the videos and sharing it. So, we do talk about a lot of different things. We talk about just general trading rules. We do guest interviews, anything with entrepreneurial. We will eventually talk about like real estate and flipping houses and things like that. So I appreciate you for watching this video, and let's just get right into it. Now, today was quite an interesting ride. I had mentioned in my previous video that what I was really looking at was for support along this sort of 112.60 line, and we had drawn the sort of recent wedge to indicate the sort of higher lows that we had recently made, and then what we had was the sort of strong support line at around the 112.60 range, which we constantly were bouncing off of. And I mentioned a few days ago about how this felt like a false breakout, which we got confirmation on Friday with this sort of Greystone Doji, and then we had this sort of rejection today and what I thought would be support at the 50 days. So the 50-day average was support early on, and then it was really an interesting story for Apple. So we opened up today and we sold off, and as you can see right around here we hit around a bottom of 114.50, and then what happened was the stock finally got some news. So for some of you guys who are wondering, why is a stock like, let's say Apple, I know some of you guys mentioned that, hey, I was stuck in Apple since it was like 130 or 119, 120. What's going to drive the stock up is news. So anytime you're trading a stock and you're wondering why isn't it moving or how is it going to move, we need to get volume. We need to get people to buy the stock to push the, there has to be buyers to push this price up. So today, you can see the catalyst came out that they finally announced the most anticipated iPhone event for next week. I believe it's for the 13th. So when Apple announced it, look what happened. We had 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, essentially 5 straight green candles. And we jumped all the way from a low of 113.93 all the way to a high of 115.10, right? So that's about a $1.20 move in 5 minutes, which is great if you caught that. So I was really excited about this move. So normally what I do and how I play Apple stock is I am typically paying attention to the RSI both on the 1-minute chart and then the 5-minute chart. And for some of you guys who are newer to trading, you may ask, well, why do you need to look at different charts? Why not just look at, for example, the daily chart? If you're a swing trader, that could probably work for you. The reason why I look personally at the 1-minute chart and the 5-minute chart is, the 1-minute chart helps me understand what's happening with the stock right now. Sort of if I'm maybe looking for a quick scalp and I'm looking, for example, a 5-minute move here, what's going on with the stock at that moment. Now for a 5-minute, it sort of tells us the overall behavior over a 5-minute time frame. And then if we look here at the bottom right, the 15-minute. So it really gives you sort of an overview and a bird's eye view of how the stock's doing. And it just helps you kind of better gauge the behavior versus looking at each minute, because you could see here, you see several red candles and you're like, well, is the stock tanking? When realistically, it might just be a small price pullback. And then, of course, we had this massive movement. So it was, again, a really interesting day. We had several tweets from the president. So what happened was, as we made sort of this comeback on Apple due to the iPhone event, I went heavy on the calls, like I said, as we were overselling. And then all of a sudden we had this sort of news come out, probably towards I think it was like the last hour and a half of the trading day, that that the president basically said that he was not going to, he had instructed that he was not going to actually support the stimulus until after the election. And you can imagine that, we're all Americans, and some of you guys are watching maybe around the world, some of us depend on that stimulus to survive, right? That could be our livelihood. That could be our small business. So obviously the markets didn't take that news well. So what happened was, when that news came out, you can see on the 15-minute chart down here, right, this massive drop. And if we look at this chart, we're talking about a high of 116. So Apple was trading at 116 bucks a share. and it dropped all the way down to 113. And you can also look at this massive red volume, bar. So you can see that the most of volume was traded in that 15 minutes for the entire day. So the news came out, and basically there was a huge selling pressure. And you can see that after that followed was more selling pressure. And you can see that our 112 line held pretty well. So our 112.16 line came here. We had a rejection. So the buyers started stepping in, obviously buying Apple at a discount. And then it just felt like we were kind of fading away from that. So there wasn't really a strong conviction that buyers just jumped in and pushed the price right back up, like we've seen on certain stocks that kind of sell off and then they just sort of come back. And what I thought we needed was sort of a reassurance. So it felt like it was, again, sort of a tweet storm. And then it kind of was like, well, really, are we really not going to get a stimulus until then? So later tonight, let's go ahead and scroll up here while I'm recording here. So later today, it looks like, again, just a bunch of rhetoric here. I want to just talk about right here is that if I am sent a standalone bill for stimulus checks, they will go out to our great people immediately, right? So again, not signing a stimulus bill for a month is actually just going to hurt people, and it's going to hurt voters. So obviously, the political correct thing to do is to do that. And then there was also some additional, payer protection program, which is for the small businesses. So again, giving dollars out for those dollars to be reinvested in the American economy is going to help everybody. It's going to help us. So I believe, and I kind of felt like this too, is when we get a massive sell-off that we'll probably get a good rebound tomorrow. So what I expect is that we're going to sort of make up this sort of fade that we had today. And because we have this exciting event, we always say, trade the rumor, sell the news, is I expect that we're going to start racing back up to, 120s. And, again, I had mentioned that I wanted to see this wedge filled and we could see a lower low. So if we do continue to sell off tomorrow morning, we could see something, like I said, around 110, which in previous videos we talked about was also a very strong support and resistance. And so we can fill this wedge, and then we can get a strong bounce as we sort of fill this and do our breakout heading into essentially in a week. We have this major event. Now, personally, if I'm holding on to calls going into the event, I will be basically selling them off before the event. That's normally how you want to play these conference calls or these events. Is there's going to be a hype that sort of, everybody buys into the stock and then they get excited. And then you can always leave a quarter portion of your shares if you're just, just because in case the stock does run up a little more. But normally what happens is they tend to sell off. All right, guys. Well, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to add them below, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care. Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.